Hello, and welcome to One Pot. This is the show where I plan to give opinions on games I've only played for a short time. None of these games I will have played to completion. This is a first impression series. Today, I'm talking about the classic Okami. This is the HD version available on Steam. And today's tea is a delicious blend of matcha, sencha, and roasted rice. Sencha is boiled tea, matcha is ground tea, and I don't need to explain what rice is. So let's get into it. Okami has a fairly clean look, going for a cross between what I feel is an ancient Japanese art style and ink cartoon style that reminds me a bit of Looney Tunes. But only for humanoid characters, Amaterasu looks very much like a wolf no matter how you look at her. This port has a few shortcomings. The X and Y axis were inverted by default on the mouse for whatever reason, so it says invert them, but it means revert them. It's not a deal breaker, but it's an odd quirk of playing games that were meant to be played on the Wiimote on a mouse. The graphics menu is very lacking. However, for a game as old as Okami, it kind of makes sense. I didn't notice any rough edges or shimmering, so signs of a decent port. The game runs fine on my machine, but my machine is overkill, and I would follow the recommended specs whenever possible. The game has a filter, and I ended up having to turn it down because whatever the regular filter was made me feel ill when playing. I had kind of a headache, which is very unfortunate. So let's talk about actual gameplay. Okami feels like someone looked at The Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess and wanted to do something different with that kind of formula, with adding the paintbrush mechanic and give you powers that way. The puzzle and problem solving part of the game is pretty good. I did find the text hand holding a bit annoying. I understand this game was designed to be playable by children. I did find myself wanting to do things out of order to what the game wanted me to do. I always kind of do this in games where I end up inadvertently spotting something that I'm supposed to deal with later and doing before I'm supposed to do something else. So I noticed there was a broken mill in the village. And when you first enter the village, everyone's turned to stone. Ishin tells you should find someone with a pulse. Well, I tried to talk to the villagers who were all turned to stone, and he says some things. So I'm like, okay, the wheel over here is broken. See if I can fix that. I have the restoration magic. Nope. Alright, let's go the other way, because I went down the hill into the village, and I went back up. There was no one up there. So I went back down to the village, and I was looking around, going around the buildings, trying to see if there was someone who was alive, because maybe that's who I was looking for. And I tried to talk to the lady who's in the rice field. And I talked to someone else, and then a big arrow appears, and it's like, let's go back to the deck up there. It's a little hand-holdy, especially at the beginning. Definitely think it's very interesting the way the humans in this world react to a wolf with Ishin, who's I guess a bug or something, walking around with like thousands of yen. Now let's briefly talk about the combat. From what I played, the combat's fine. Doesn't seem to require lightning reflexes or perfect parries. This is a game Hideki Kamiya worked on. There are definitely games he has worked on where there is a difficulty spike near the end. I don't know for a fact with this one, but it is definitely possible. Besides monetary rewards, combat feels basic. There could be some much more interesting mechanics later. I tended to avoid combat to get to the puzzles and plot, and I'm also not sure why enemies are musicians with what looked like katakana written on a piece of paper stapled to their face. To sum up my thoughts on Okami, it's a very interesting game with fantastic music, a great atmosphere, slightly dated visuals, and the unfortunate combination of effects that just hurts my head. I still think this game is worthy of being called a classic, and I'm not sure if my experience with whatever was causing me to get a headache from playing the game is something everyone experiences. If you don't get a headache from playing the game or from looking at this footage, I recommend playing it. I've never played the original, so I'm not sure. I want to beat this game. I want to go back and play this game more. Just wish it didn't give me a headache playing it. You can put your thoughts on Okami, or why I'm wrong, or what you think is causing this game to give me a headache in the comment section below. Until next time, mata ne!